are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep.
Agenda 21 is dependent on the Hegelian dialectic, and that says that a crisis is created and a solution is posed, and the balance between the two then becomes the new normal. And the balance between the two then becomes the new normal, which is something that you never would have accepted. But now that there's a crisis, then you are forced or pressured to accept this new solution.
The times are too serious. The stakes are too high. People will not be hoodwinked. You will not be bamboozled.
Governor DeSantis and Governor Abbott are personally making decisions that are harming their own citizens.
I believe the results of their decisions are not good for their constituents. And it's clear to me and to most of the medical experts that the decisions being made, like not allowing mask mandates in school and the like, are bad health policy. Bad health policy.
You know, Governor, the president had a lot to say yesterday, and he didn't say your name, but obviously was referring to you. What do you have to say to him back when it came to about the mask mandates?
Well, I would just say generally, when you're taking action that's unconstitutional, that threatens the jobs of the people in my state, many thousands of jobs, I'm standing for them. We're going to protect their jobs against federal overreach. And this is a guy who criticizes the state of Florida for protecting parents' rights. He says school boards should be able to eliminate parents' rights and force 5-year-old kids to wear masks all day. That's what he thinks is appropriate government. Yet, here he comes from Washington, D.C., instituting an unprecedented mandate, which even his own people have acknowledged in the past is not constitutional. That's not leadership. And I think the problem I have with Joe Biden more than anything, this guy doesn't take responsibility for anything. He's always trying to blame other people, blame other states. This is a guy that promised when he ran for president that he would shut down the virus.
They're all covered with filthy germs, aren't they, Smithers?
Why, what do you mean, sir?
Freemasons run the country!
Not only this country, but the entire world.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
If you were to run for the presidency in 2024, would you consider Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, as your running mate?
Sure, I would. But, you know, there are numerous people that are great. I would certainly consider Ron. I was at the beginning of Ron. I was the first one to endorse him when he came out as a congressman that a lot of people didn't know, and my endorsement helped him tremendously, and I know him very well. He's a great guy.
DeSantis. DeSantis.
It's giving me a headache.
Yeah, tell me about it. Us took the hackers months to figure out how to do this.
The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
Congratulations. Thank you, Steve.
I, Stephen Mnuchin, do solemnly swear.
I, Stephen Mnuchin, do solemnly swear.
Now Mnuchin will head the Treasury Department with his signature on every American bill.
Have you been working on your signature for the
I have indeed. I have indeed. So I've been practicing it, so it'll be nice and neat on the money.
Mnuchin's career has also been dotted with controversy. He profited from the housing meltdown. His father worked at Goldman Sachs, and Steve followed him to the firm. Mnuchin donated to both parties over the years, including Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in 2008.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us.
They both belong to a group called Skull and Bones.
The Yale University Secret Society Skull and Bones, better known to you as President George Bush. Now, for the first time in the history of that Yale club, 2 of its former members will go head-to-head for the presidency.
You may think that George W. Bush and John Kerry have little in common, but both men count themselves as members of Skull and Bones, Yale University's oldest and some say most elite secret society.
Skull and Bones dates to 1832 and was, in fact, a reaction to a secret society. The Masons, founder William Huntington Russell, thought of his little conclave as sort of anti-Masons, and as a home for the wealthy and the powerful and the people who would do anything for another bonesman. Each year, 15 Yale undergraduate seniors are tapped for membership, initiated in controversial, murky fashion dramatized here in the movie The Skull.
Skull above any other. Say, skull above any other.
Fashion satirized here in The Simpsons.
Who gets Atlantis off the maps? Who keeps the Martians on their wraps? We do.
Members of Skull and Bones, that is, not of the Stonecutters, gather on High Street in the Yale campus at The Tomb. New members, the neophytes, are expected to do things like lie in coffins and wrestle in mud and kiss a skull and confess their sexual histories in front of the group to bond themselves together further still, and presumably just for a few laughs. Once you're in, you're in. Skull and Bones is for life. Talking about Skull and Bones is for others. And there are a lot of bonesmen who did not talk, but did succeed. Henry Luce, who created Time Magazine and all its cousins. Harold Stanley, founder of Morgantown. Henry Louis Stimson, the Secretary of War under FDR and Truman. William F. Buckley. Averell Harriman, longtime governor of New York. And then there are the presidents. William Howard Taft, whose father Alfonso had helped found the group, and whose son Robert was a senator. George Herbert Walker Bush, whose father Prescott was a bonesman and a senator. The current President Bush, although his kid at Yale has not been tapped for Skull and Bones, even though they do admit women now. His child is not Skull and Bones, his opponent is. John Kerry, bonesman class of 66. And if this needs to be weirder for you, try this. His wife, Teresa's first husband, the late senator from Pennsylvania, John Heinz, his father was Skull and Bones. So we have an all-secret society presidential election. Not that either of them are talking about it.
The initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to The Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
Back in 1996, using a night vision camera, we shot some of the only existing footage of a Skull and Bones initiation ceremony held at this foreboding building called the Tomb. One legend has it that during these initiation ceremonies, pledges must climb naked into a coffin.
Did you have to climb naked into a coffin for your initiation back in 1968?
Last time I was naked was sprinting down the street somewhere. No.
Bush and Kerry are just two of a virtual who's who of the nation's rich and powerful who have been so-called bonesmen. Yet Skull and Bones remain shrouded in secrecy.
You'd see dozens of skulls, skeletons, art celebrating death, war memorabilia, and several allegedly stolen items that bonesmen supposedly were supposed to take as gifts to the society's goddess.
Still, Rosenbaum says the tape is a valuable artifact, an extremely rare view into the secret society that groomed the American ruling class for generations.
The devil is in the details when we run the numbers.
That's what your message is to the Iraqi people who are wondering.
You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And, you know, it'll take time to restore chaos and order, but we're order out of chaos, but we will. Yeah, John.
Sir, give them the successor.
Where am I? Grandpa? What are you doing here?
Chris, welcome to the Skull and Bones Society. This is where the most powerful men in the world are groomed for their futures. Every president, every CEO, every douchebag named Ryan Seacrest. The Skull and Bones Society has been a part of my family for decades, and we want you to become a member.
Really? Wow, cool!
Excellent. You get your own stock portfolio, a percentage of the 9/11 Victims Fund.
I, Ron DeSantis, do solemnly swear.
You know, girls are going to play girls' sports and boys are going to play boys' sports. Assessments on the intellectual freedom and viewpoint diversity at these institutions. I think that having intellectual diversity is something that's very, very important.
Coat of arms of Donald Trump.
There we have the double-headed eagle representing his Scottish Germanic heritage.
Make order out of places where there is chaos. That is our role.
Are there really great secrets that you know that you can't share with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. And you never write about them.
No.
Maybe at a time in your life that
No.
you're like, oh, I'm 90, I'm going to do it.
No.
No, nothing.
I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
Now imagine a world where mass outbreaks of deadly diseases are commonplace. Well, it sounds scary, but that might not be too far off. The World Health Organization has warned in a BBC interview that we're entering a new phase where such a reality is, quote, a new normal.
As the coronavirus pandemic brings life across the country to a grinding halt, Americans are facing a new normal.
It is a new normal that we all have to get used to.
I know a big question, Tom, from a lot of New Yorkers. When might we ever get back to normal? The governor talked today about working toward a new normal.
So we're going to a different place, which is a new normal.
So, Bill, here we are. Many people are aware that you warned of this in the New England Journal of Medicine and during a TED Talk just a couple of years back. So what do we need to do right now in order to reopen the country to get back to, some sort of normalcy and sort of set a new normal, whatever the new normal is?
Well, I will say it's three phases. The acute phase we're in now, the semi-normal phase until we get a vaccine, and the semi-normal phase until we get a vaccine, and then the truly normal phase after the vaccine has protected all of us.
Agenda 21 is dependent on the Hegelian dialectic, and that says that a crisis is created and a solution is posed, and the balance between the two then becomes the new normal, which is something that you never would have accepted. But now that there's a crisis, then you are forced or pressured to accept this new solution.
COVID is the world's new normal.
Thank you for being here, Dr. Fauci. Always great to talk to you. I have to start by asking you, what was your sort of immediate thought when you saw all of those fans packed into stadiums in Texas, Wisconsin, and elsewhere? As soon as I saw it, I thought COVID's about to have a feast. What did you think?
I thought the same thing. I think it's really unfortunate. I mean, people would like to say we're done with COVID, but COVID is not done with us.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
A horrifying new development
New
today.
data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Hey, whoa, I'm immune! I'm immune!
Rumors of the latest rituals say that a newly accepted initiate must lie down naked in a casket and masturbate while the other members watch gathered in a circle. The Skull and Bones are known for their odd and sexually promiscuous rituals, but many don't know of the horrific and evil acts committed by these members throughout our government. In May 1918, Prescott Bush and 5 other Skull and Bones men ransacked the grave at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. They took turns to stand guard while others robbed the grave and took away artifacts and Geronimo's skull. This was taken to the Skull and Bones headquarters at Yale, where it is used in their sick rituals and ceremonies. This horrible story is told in an international history of the Skull and Bones Society and was quoted to Ned Anderson, the tribal chairman of the San Carlos Apache tribe, when he was negotiating to have Geronimo's remains returned to the tribe's custody. A 1989 article in the New Yorker said, one bonesman recalled during the early 70s seeing perhaps 30 skulls, not all of them human, scattered about the tomb at Yale. This is the mentality of the people running our world. Every Skull and Bonesman has been incredibly successful and put at great powers in our government. President Bush tapped 5 bonesmen, including William Donaldson, the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, to join his administration. John Kerry, class of 1966, became Senator and Secretary of State. Henry Luce, the founder of Time magazine, Life, Fortune, Home, and Sports Illustrated, was a bonesman. General Manager of the New York Times, Amory Howe Bradford, was a bonesman, class of 1934, and married Carol Warburg Rothschild. Percy Rockefeller, class of 1900, was a wealthy businessman and sat on directors' boards for many corporations. Richard Gow, president of George Bush's Zapata Oil Company, was a bonesman, class of 1955. Alexandra Robbins, in a CBS interview, stated, "They do have many individuals in influential positions, and that's why this is something that we need to know about." The Skull and Bones, being interleaked with many government branches, is also connected to the CIA. Many powerful bonesmen in our government were very much involved in the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency is widely known for its shadowy acts and strange positions it holds in government power. Many Bonesmen have graduated with CIA and intelligence community jobs waiting for them too. F. Truby Davison, Howard Weaver, William Sloan Coffin Jr., V. Van Dyne, James Buckley, Bill Buckley, Hugh Cunningham, Hugh Wilson, Reuben Holden, Charles R. Walker, Robert D. French, Archibald MacLeish, Dino Pionzio, William and McGeorge Bundy, Richard Moore, and George Bush are all Bonesmen with U.S. intelligence agency jobs. The Skull and Bones Society, along with the Bush family, put illegal drugs such as heroin and cocaine on the streets of the U.S. and the rest of the world. The Illuminati families in America and Britain launched an international drug trade and still maintain it today. Through their power in government agencies, they wipe out opposition, and this is exactly what you see when you watch a big drug bust on the news. Controlling the drug trade is a huge step to gaining financial power, and is also a key factor in keeping parts of the world poor, unhealthy, and in poverty. The Skull and Bones Society has branches of power throughout the government, and Bushes were just one of the biggest families to be involved in the drug trade. The Skull and Bones Society is owned by the Russell Trust, an organization controlled by the Russells, a drug-running bloodline family. They flew the Skull and Bones flag on their ships as they transported drugs from the British Empire, from Turkey to China, and elsewhere during the Opium Wars of the 19th century. The Skull and Bones is an ancient Illuminati symbol used in its sacrificial rituals and secret language, not least by the Knights Templar. The Skull and Bones is a very well-hidden secret society that has infiltrated many positions of power in the U.S. government. One of their greatest methods of manipulation is the bipartisan Republican-Democrat system, in which they present two political figures from two different parties, and the American people have an election where they vote for which candidate they like more. This is clearly giving the illusion of choice to the population. They control both parties. They control the entire system. Yet I am supposed to believe that just by voting for one of their controlled puppets, that somehow everything is going to change? What are the chances that out of 300 million people, the two elected candidates would be related and both members of the same secret society? This is not a coincidence. It is reality. The Skull and Bones have taken big positions in power and have paved the way for the New World Order. They control both parties of the political system and have members in different sections of the government. In a 1992 interview with reporter Sarah McClendon, George H.W. Bush stated, "If the American people ever find out what we, the Bushes, have done, they would chase us down the street and lynch us."
Simply put, this country and this world benefit from your commitment to Jesuit principles, to being men.
As a graduate of another great Jesuit institution, Xavier University, I have great affection for the value and purpose of a Jesuit education.
All the actors were high Masons. If you take those early actors, Frank Sinatra, all of those that were involved in those movies, John Wayne, they were all 33-degree Freemasons. And if you follow it down through the line to this very day, most of the actors, I would say the great majority, if not all, of the major actors are all high Masons. All the singers, all of them.
Were I a Jew, I would be a Zionist. And my father pointed out to me, I did not need to be a Jew to be a Zionist, for I am.
In every Masonic lodge, this right here is a Masonic tracing board. It is in every Masonic lodge, some form or fashion. They have a picture of this. Notice that at the top is east, not north. On a compass, up at the top is north, due north, not in a Masonic lodge. The altar always faces east.
So there's three with one missing, it looks like. Is this the
I don't know exactly.
North, south, west, and the east is missing, or?
No, that would be the east.
That would be the east?
Because that's north.
Right.
Right. I don't know why that is missing, actually.
I asked him why there were only 3 lights at the altar, and he said he wasn't too sure why, but there are 3 because one represents the east, one represents the west, one represents the south. But in Masonry, the north is the place of darkness. And of course, according to the Bible tells us that the north is where God resides.
God is from the north. The Creator is from the north. The altar is not facing Him. It's facing east, where man was thrown out of the garden. Where does that come from? Genesis 3:24. So He drove out the man, and He placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubs and flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. And that's what's really going on here, is basically trying to get back in the Garden of Eden another way. But also notice, back to the tracing board, when you read from left to right, you have NEWS, news, and it is code, because if you read it on a compass, it doesn't read correctly from left to right. Only in the Masonic tracing board or in a Masonic lodge do you get that reference from left to right, NEWS, news. So just wanted to point that out. And also, it was also in one of the Olympics a couple of years ago. The stage was newspaper, and they also had an octopus as one of the mascots used in that show. Tentacles everywhere, the symbolism of the octopus reaching out all over the world. Same thing. Is putting a stamp out there of, we're in control of this artist, Taylor Swift. We're letting you know, we have her, what she's doing, her videos she's putting out, gorgeous, look what you made me do, and now this one. I mean, it's pretty much right in a row telling you something. Look what you made me do. Are you ready for it, gorgeous? I mean, that's pretty much telling you how they use the titles to tell you a story separately of what's going on. So, lastly, before I play the video, there's 3 versions of this CD. There's the standard, there's a special version volume 2. Notice that the numbers that are used in the special versions is 72. Now, anybody that's followed or seen any of my videos, I've told you that the pyramid on the back of your dollar bill is an uncompleted temple. Eye of Lucifer, Horus, whatever you want to say, on the back of your US dollar bill. So 72 is code word for 666. Depending on who you ask, they'll understand. And what I mean by that is 66 add a 6. The world teaches you 66 add a 6, you get 72. Ask someone in the know, Freemasonry, a 33rd degree Mason, ask him 66 add a 6. He'll tell you 666. He'll just add the 6. The statement is the same. The question is the same. 66 add a 6. But the way you're taught to look at it and perceive it, you get a whole different answer. So it's no accident that they've used 72 on her special versions of these other CDs. And it has to do with the temple. It has to do with what the very secret, the inner sanctum of Freemasonry is about. Building human temples. Building a stairway to heaven another way other than the way we've been shown.
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. You have given us entree to the resources we need in our ongoing quest for multidimensional expansion.
You still don't get it, do you, boys? There ain't no countries anymore. No more good guys. They're running the whole show. They own everything.
He's a tall, Caucasian male, doesn't appear armed, wearing sunglasses.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All around you. You just got to look for it. And they're telling you. And this is a perfect example. Remember the perfume commercial a couple of years ago with Julia Roberts. Notice she's walking into the room. She's in white. Everybody else is in black. There you go, the Masonic black and white. everybody's connected from above. That's what the Freemasons are above. They want to disconnect from the Creator. They want to do it their way. They don't want to answer to a Creator. They want to break free. There you go, breaking free from that. And they want to, look, she's going up the stairs. She's ascending another way. She does not want to be like the rest of everybody else. That's what you just saw in a little quick perfume commercial right in front of your eyes that most don't see. So, remember what I told you in the garden. They believe Lucifer freed them from the evil Creator that is controlling us from above, and they want to break free. So, I hope you enjoy this video remix. It's a lot of little information, quick information in here that I remixed it for you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you share it for those out there that are still asleep. They don't get it. People are just, they're looking at other things and being distracted. But this is really the one game. And you better be ready for it. No pun intended.
You can't play God without being acquainted with the devil. The problem, Bernard, is that what you and I do is so complicated. We practice witchcraft. We speak the right words, and we create life itself out of chaos.
Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
And we create life itself out of chaos. And we create life itself
Are you ready for it?
out of chaos.
Are you ready for it?
One day the AIs are going to look back on us the same way we look at fossils. One day the AIs are going to look back on us the same way we look at fossils.